Hey guys, it's Maymay. I'm going to do something so fun today. If you've ever heard of a stack and whack quilt, we're going to make stack and whack cards. It's super fun. It's a great way to use up your stash, especially your scraps. So let's get started. Now, I am saying scraps, but here's the thing. You do need pieces, scraps, that are at least 4 by 5 1/4. Does that measure sound familiar? It's the first layer of an A2 card because that's the size I'm going to make right now. I may play around in this video and give you some other sizes. Stick around. I'm going to try to. Okay. All right. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to need first a piece of cardstock to turn into a template. This is not your mama's. Do you see that? I'm going to want to use this template over and over again. So I want to use something pretty thick. I don't want to use chipboard here, and I'll explain to you why later, but you kind of got to trust me. Pick one of your thicker cardstocks to be your template. That's what we'll use. The next thing I need you to get out is cardstock, and it matters what you pick, okay? I'm not playing with scraps today because we just got this paper pack in and I want to play with it, so this is what I'm going to use. But you totally can do this with just scrap paper. All right, what I'm looking for is cardstock that is light on one side and dark on the other, okay? When you're making quilts, they have colors that they call light, mediums, and darks, and it kind of matters. And here, I think it kind of matters. So I want you to look for color cardstock that is dark on one side, light on the other. You'll see later why that matters. And I'm just going to flip through here and see what we've got. So that's dark and light. This pack's pretty cool. Everything seems to be dark and light. One thing I don't want to do is get everything the same colorway, and I'm kind of doing that here. See how I have mostly green? I need to change one of these out. Actually, I think I'm going to change. Actually, maybe we'll just go with that. Let's just do 3 cards for sample, and we'll go with these colors. So you see, let's flip this guy over. So these are my dark sides, okay? And these are my light sides, and these are going to work. So now we need to make our template. Now I know right now this isn't making a lot of sense, but I promise when we get through with this, you're gonna be like, oh, this is fun. And it's kind of like a mystery card, but not really. All right, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna cut a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. And again, this is my Not Your Mama's. This is gonna be my template, okay? And I'm doing 4 by 5 1/4. Now we need to do some editing to this piece. The reason I wanted to start with this is so you can get an idea of what we're doing. This is a card mat, okay? The first thing I want to do at the bottom, we're making Christmas trees, by the way. The first thing I want to do at the bottom is cut away 1 inch. So on the bottom, and I'll show you what I did, on the 4-inch wide side, I cut away 1 inch, and I'm going to sit that aside. Now, this is where we need to do some marking with a pencil. Now, don't you worry, we're going to have for you the measures in the description below, so you'll be able to get those. But for now, I'm just going to talk you through them. So using a pencil, I'm going to mark across the 4-inch bottom. I'm going to mark in 1/2 inch on both sides. So I've made a mark 1/2 inch in on the left side and 1/2 inch in on the right side. Now what I want to do at the top is I want to make 2 marks, okay? I'm going to come up here and I want to make 1 mark at 1 3/4 and 1 mark at 2 1/4. So those are the marks I need. Now we're going to connect those lines, but here's what we have to do. We want to cross these lines over, all right? So when I make my first line, I'm going to line this up. Matter of fact, I like to use the other side of my ruler, the beveled edge. I'm going to line these 2 up, and I'm going to go from my first pencil mark to my second pencil mark. So you see how I've done that? I've crossed it over. We're going to do it with this side too. Now we'll go to our second pencil mark to our first pencil mark. I'm over explaining this, but you'll see right here, we kind of make that little cross at the top. Looks like a wonky X, right? Okay, now what I want you to do, because I don't want you to get messed up later, from here to here, I want you to erase that. I want you to just erase that. I don't want you to get confused later. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and erase, and I'll bring this up to you. We're just erasing from here to there. Can you see a Christmas tree? This is our tree. Now we will do what's called sub-cutting this. That's when you make a cut and then you cut it down again. We're going to do that here, but we don't need to mark it. We'll come back to it later. So here's what we just created. This is the beginning of our template. Now what I want you to do is go back to your trimmer And the reason I wanted you to erase that little piece is because I don't want this to confuse you here. I want you to know that that is the first line you need to cut on your template, that whole line, okay? So what we end up with is this. So that's part one. Let's bring our little bottom part over. We'll cut that away. Then I want you to turn this into your trimmer, and I want you to cut that other line, just like this. What we're doing here is creating pattern pieces. Now, in the fabric world, it's kind of ironic. Yesterday, I was watching Penny from So Charming, and she did this with a paper foundation pack, a paper piecing pack. And they do that where they take paper and lay it over the fabric and make this happen. But this is how we're going to do it today. Ours is a little bit different, and we're going to be able to reuse this over and over again. All right, I want you to set this aside for now, and we're going to come back to it in just a minute. I'm just going to slide this out of the way. Now I want you to go back to those 3 pieces that we chose from the 6x6 pad. And I would suggest that you work in odd numbers. You'll get a better mix of colors that way. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to harvest a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to put this into my trimmer, and I'm just going to cut them all 3 at one time. Now, if your trimmer won't cut 3 at a time, just do ever how many in here will cut. Okay, if you can only cut 2 at a time, that's fine. But mine will do 3 at a time. Then I'm going to cut this down to 4. Okay, now for the fun part. So these are the pieces I'm going to use. If you have scrap cardstock in these sizes, if you have pieces of 6x6, if you have leftover anything that you can harvest these sizes from, do that first. Don't do like me and use a brand new paper pack, unless you want to. I just wanted to. All right, now what we're going to do is this. We're going to take this cardstock. This is the top, okay? I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to cut 1 inch off. Does that feel familiar? We did that with our template. Remember, we cut 1 inch away. So that we're going to cut away, and what I'm going to do, so I can remember what it is stick this on top, just like that. Put it aside. Now what we're going to do, and this is so easy and so fun, we're going to take our pieces, our templates, okay? This is my first template piece, and I'm going to stack it up so that I get it nice and flush on all sides, okay? So stack that little guy up. Take this to your trimmer. This is why it's called stack and whack. We're going to stack it up, and then we're going to whack this away. So now what we're going to do is with that template on our cut line, we're going to lay this down, hold that in place, and cut. If you don't have the ability to hold all of this in your hands like I just did, and don't worry about this. These are wonky trees. Do not stress if a little piece gets cut off. You can use a pencil and just trace that line and cut it. You don't actually have to put your template there and keep it there. I just find that easy. All right, so now what I'm going to do is bring this piece here so you can see it. I'm going to take these guys that I just stacked and whacked away, and I'm going to put right there. Okay, now I'm going to get my other template, and here's what I love about this one. This template has a really cool shape. You see that? When we put it down, it's going to line up for us here and on all the corners. And I love that about this, so we can get a little different, a little more interest to the background of our trees. All right, we're going to lay this down, and I'm going to come through and cut it. So this is now going to land here. Do you recognize this template? It's this piece in the middle. And then this guy, I'll bring this closer so you can see it. And then this little stack is going to go right here. So much fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. I love when things just happen. All right, now we need to do that sub cut here. So I'm going to put this guy over here out of the way, bring my trimmer back. For the sub cut, what I want you to do is take this base, all 3 of them stacked up together. You don't need this guy, okay? Leave him over there. And I want you to put him into your trimmer with the paper orientation facing up. See how my trees are facing up? I'm going to cut away 1 3/4 inch off of one side. All right, and that 3 cardstock stack now can go under my little project over here. Then I'm going to take this guy, and what I want to do is turn it around where now my orientation is facing down, and I'm going to cut another 1 3/4 inch. And you can see here now we have this little stack, and then we have this little stack. Perfect. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's bring everything back over. I'm going to now remove these guys. Now I want to tell you something. This is easier than I'm making it look. I'm trying to keep everything very organized so that it makes sense for you. But when you're doing this at home, this is not a big deal to get this done. Now what I'm going to do is play around with them, okay? I'm going to take my template and put it aside. You can put this into a envelope or a storage pouch and save this and just name it Stack and Whack Christmas cards or something like that. All right, now what we're going to do is just pull these guys apart. So I'm just going to sit them over here like this. This is the fun part, you guys. This is kind of the mystery. And I think I'm just going to leave everything organized like this. And then we'll play. Now, the first thing you can do is you can flip your trees over. Okay, so let's take this guy out like this. And I can flip him over and I can see my trees appearing right away. See that? So just flipping these guys over. Oh, what a cute tree with the little postage thingies. Okay. Then down here, I can flip these two sides like this and leave my trunks in there. But the other thing I can do, which I think this is super, super fun. Let's bring everything where you can see. Now we can mix everything up. I think I would prefer these red pieces over here. See that? So I can get more movement on that tree. And I think I would like these pieces here and then these pieces here. I feel like that's a better look, right? That's what's so fun about this is you can play with all of it. Now, let's say you didn't like this light color. I personally think the light color, these two colors really contrasting like this look good, you know, because you can really see the tree. But let's say I didn't like that. I can always take this one and I can flip it around and I can put it over here if I'd rather. And so this one, I'd have to do the same thing. I'd have to flip it around. And the reason I want to show you this, of course, I wouldn't do this because this matches, but I want to show you this. Do you see how our little interesting cut right here moves? So instead of being here, now it's over here. That doesn't matter. So you can do that anywhere you want it. All right, so I'm going to pick this guy back. I'm going to put it back. I like the way they were. I like them like this. And now for the next fun part. Now, I have just slid those guys up on my work surface. Up here, you can still see them laying there. But we need another piece of cardstock. I'm going to use craft colored for these cards. You could use any color you want that coordinates. I just feel like this craft color really does. So I've got my cardstock lined up to 4 inches in my trimmer right here. I want to add 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to come over 2 lines. Okay, so watch my cardstock move over. 1 line, 2 lines. That is 1/8 of an inch. Okay. A lot of you guys ask me, do we cut on the line, beside the line? As long as you're consistent, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you do the same thing every time. All right. So now I'm going to run my trimmer up and that gets me 4 1/8. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put this at 4 and then move it over 1/16 and then 1/8, just like that, and trim this off. Now I'm going to turn this sideways, and where we cut this 5 1/4 for those, I'm going to add that same 1/8. So I'm going to move over 2 lines and cut that one. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go to 5 1/4 and then move over 2 lines. Now I am moving over 2 lines, which means I'm moving over 2/16, which is 1/8. So if your trimmer, the reason I say that, if your trimmer doesn't show 16ths, you may just be moving over to 1/8. So 5 1/4 plus 1/8. By the way, that's 5 3/8. Too many numbers today. Am I throwing too many numbers? Maybe. All right, and then 5 3/8. Now, just real quick, just check and make sure all your cardstock is the same, and mine is. Okay. Now, we're super fun. I think these are so fun. Okay, can you tell? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take one of our bases. Let's move this the opposite way. Let's put a base here, these right here. Here's what is super cool and easy. So you just start, if you've got your layout like you want it, you just start in one corner, okay? Pick this guy up, add some adhesive, glue, sticky tape. I would use the glue. Sticky tape would take a little bit. So add some glue. Then this guy is going to go all the way in this top corner. This is kind of like putting together a puzzle now. So I'm going to use my work surface to help me get it into the corner, nice and flush, and then rub that down. So there's one is placed, okay? Now I'm going to take this guy and place him in the top right corner. Same thing, let's place him, and then we can use our work surface to get him nice and square. So I'm going to square him to the top and square him to the side. Do you see that we're creating this 1/8 of an inch gap between our cardstock? That's what happens when we added that 1/8 of an inch to our base. It moves our pieces out a little bit, and that's what I wanted. I want the movement on the page. I keep saying movement or texture or interest, but I think you know what I mean. I want something to not look like we just cut pages apart and glued it right back together. Same thing here. I'm going to tap this down to the work surface, tap this down to the side, and you see we've got a gap there. Space, gap, whichever way you want to put it. Same over here. Look, there's a tree right there. You wouldn't even have to put anything in it, but I think it's pretty. So now I'm going to put this guy in. But what I want to do, I'm going to put my own spacing here. And what I'm going to do is take up the space inside, meaning I'm going to eyeball that I have the same amount here, that I have here, and that I have here for this piece, okay? And see how it just sets the tree off? It's so much more obvious that it's a Christmas tree like this than when you just glue them right back together. I tried gluing them directly back together, and to me, I kind of lost the tree. And doing this, it made the tree really pop. Isn't this cute? I love it. All right, then your trunk. And something you can do here, you can do the same color. Actually, let me do it this way because I think that's the way that was cut. You do the same color for the trunk. Because we have the spacing around, it looks cool. You can see the tree, or you can flip it over. It's up to you. I'm going to look and see which one I like best. I think I like this one solid, so I'm going to do the same. And I may do that with all of them. You don't have to play all you want. And here's the other thing. If you cut more pieces of cardstock and you give yourself more pieces to choose from, you really can play. I only did the 3 pieces for the video, but you could really play. So there's one. Let's do the other 2. And I'm going to bring this one down. I'm going to pick up this side. And again, if you go, I really want to mix this up. Maybe you want this tree to be this color. You would just put this green on this side and flip this around. And what you end up with is the line going in the other direction. Isn't that neat? I love it. I love it. But I'm going to leave mine like I had it. So glue. These are so easy. I'm going to tell you, if you had to make, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 or more Christmas cards, this is a cool thing to do because you can get a lot done in a little bit of time, and they're easy. You can stack them up and cut 3. Some of you might, your trimmer might cut 5 cards at a time. Wouldn't that be amazing? Be able to cut 5 card bases in one sitting. All right, let's put our tree in. I didn't do this here. You might want to put your bottom pieces on first, just to be sure you give yourself enough space. I kind of knew how much I needed, and I got a little tight there. So you might want to put these corner pieces on like we did in the first card before you do this, just to save yourself the space that you need. Also, I'm checking my orientation here because I had this one upside down. Sometimes with these little prints and moving these around so much, you can flip them. You don't mean to, but it can happen. Just be careful with that. Yeah, I got that too close. So lay the tree in last. You know, let me make the mistake so you don't have to. I do think I'm going to keep my trunk the same as the tree. I think it looks good like that. Another thing you could do is, rather than using this cardstock for your trunk, if you wanted to, you could just cut little 1/2-inch strips of like brown. That's just a 1/2-inch piece right there. So you could just do a 1/2-inch strip of brown and that would be cool too. Or leave it craft, leave the background showing. All right, last one. Let's see how this one looks. Do I want to leave it like it is? Do I want to flip it? I'm going to, the tree is kind of cute, isn't it? To have the little tree. Let's lay it out and see what it looks like if we flip it around, just for fun. I do like this green here. Then I could have this red trunk. Oh, I think I like that layout. I think I'm going to do that one. So this one I'm changing. Oop, I have an extra mat. I forgot to cut 4. And then we'll glue this guy down. And this is kind of cool. You'll be able to see the little top line going in both directions. And you know I'm not done. I want to do one other thing to these guys. Maybe 2 other things, but at least one other. That's cute. I like how bright that is. Okay, what I want to do, and I'm sure you've already guessed it, is I want to emboss these. I love the texture of embossing on cards, and I think it's really cool whenever they kind of look like quilt cards. So let's emboss. Y'all, we have these new embossing folders from Tonic. I haven't even got to use this one yet. We're going to use it for the first time. It's called Timeless Tidings. I'm in love with this guy. We're going to use this one. What I like about it is the reason I chose this one is I want an all over texture. I think it looks really good when you have texture everywhere kind of cohesively on these guys. So I'm going to run this through the embossing machine and we'll get right back together. So while doing this, I discovered something. Your base layer cardstock, you don't want to use something super thick. I did, and these were pretty hard to get through my embossing machine. But if you just use something lightweight for your base to hold them down and to get this line between, you'll have no issue. Look how pretty they are. All right, let's put them on some card bases. So for my card bases, I chose to use the same color that I stacked them on. I thought that would be neat to really show off the tree. So I'll show you what I mean. Because when I lay this down, it's going to look like it's placed all the way around, but we didn't have to try to line it up that way. If you try just to glue these directly onto your card base and get the exact line all the way around, it'd be a little difficult. But I do like how this looks. And I think I'm going to pop it up. I think that'll be pretty for a little extra added something. So foam on the back, I'm just going to pop this guy up on here, trying to leave about the same amount on either edge all the way around. There we go. It's kind of tight on this because we're really, really close. Like I have a little more here. I'm not going to stress about it. Nobody's going to judge that card for that. So I'm going to put the last one down, and then I got one more thing I want to do. So our 3 little cards, and you know what I'm going to do, right? How many of you guessed I'm going to punch stars? I have this piece of gold cardstock I'm just going to use all year whenever I need a gold star. I'm going to punch out 3 of these, and don't we all need gold stars? If you're watching today, if you give this video a thumbs up, you get 50 gold stars. Tell me in the comments if you got 50 gold stars today. All right, if you know, you know, right? Okay, here we go. So a little bit of foam on these guys too. I'm kind of breaking my rule, but these are not going to get damaged even in an envelope. It's very hard to mess these up. I don't have any little bits here. The rule I'm talking about is I typically only have 1 layer of dimension on a card, but this, even if it gets flattened out, is not going to hurt anything. I do think it needs to be popped up just a little bit. And don't y'all think this treetop needs a little star? I think that'll just set it off. Look at that. It really did, didn't it? So cute. There we go, you guys. That is my version of stack and whack cards, or mystery cards 2.0. That's what I want to call them. You can do so much more. I could see me adding like enamel dots to this guy because of all the green I've got here. You could add little bits of twine kind of going down like this, like garland. You'd wrap this before you put it down. There's so much you could do, but what a cool little way to get started making some quick, fast, mass-producible cards for the season. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and you know the rule. I want to see yours now. You have a couple of places to share them with me. On my Facebook group at MaymayMadeIt, and so did I. Or you can share it on our customer gallery at MaymayMadeIt.com. I cannot wait to see the colors and the choices that you make. So please have fun this weekend and make a bunch and post them for us to see. Thanks so much for being here today, and until next time, bye now.